So every year I always tell you all to look at the inevitable preseason poll to check out what classes are cheap and which ones you should start with for Project Diablo 2. And this year, as you can see, there's a 5% difference between the bottom and the top. Everyone's talking about how great the balance is, and that is correct. And there's only a 2.4% difference between first and second. Hey, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here, you're okay. Come here. Oh, there you go. Which class are you going to play? Yeah? So, when you're looking at this, if we're going with some cheap starters, yes, Druid is going to be expensive just because everything is good on it. That's why so many people are playing it. I mean, honestly, with 17.53%, I know it's not much more than everyone else, but the reason it's so high is because Wind is good, Fire is good, Cold is good, Summons are good. Like, period, end of discussion. Now, Wind might still be a good starter because you don't have to invest in that Infinity. Remember, Wind does a lot of physical damage with the tornadoes, so you can just go with an amp damage stick, and that's going to help you out a lot. You'd play Druid, wouldn't you? At least when you're being cranky. Necromancer, I'd stay away from Necro. If in terms of cheap starters, I mean, it's still going to be a good class, and you should still play it. But at the same time, if you're looking for something cheap to start, I would not start with Necromancer. Sorceress. Again, Sorceress is high on the list here. Can you not? Sorceress will be expensive in terms of the end game gear because you need to get the facets, but I still think Cold and Lightning, just because they're so good at MF farming, good starters. I mean, they are, but the recommendations I'm going to make. Amazon, again, always expensive. Even Summons-On is pretty expensive these days. So I'm not sure I would start with Amazon. That's more of an Elizabeth Olsen build for the end of the season. Now, when we want to look at some season starters, let's look first at Singbarb, because Singbarb is going to be incredibly cheap. And it's always good for farming Trav, which is a good source of runes, and Arcane Sanctuary, which sort of became the new meta, which is also why I'm mentioning Cold and Lightning. So those are good places to start if you're doing the old LOD content. They're not going to be great mappers. The Sorceress especially is going to suck until you get that Infinity. Now, on the other hand, let's go near the bottom, Trap Assassin. Everyone is complaining that Traps got nerfed and gutted. They're not gutted. It's still one of the top builds. You do have to get that Infinity to get into maps, but in terms of early game farming, Trap Assassin is still going to be really good for the LOD content, and on top of that, Mind Blast is still one of the best MFing mappers out there. So that's a very good starter to pick because not a lot of people are going to be playing it. Mind Blast is incredibly cheap, and you're good to go. And lastly, I want to go over Paladin. And Paladin is at the bottom because it does get expensive later on, depending on if you go Fired In or even Zealer. I mean, an Death Cleaver with sockets is going to cost you an arm and a leg. But you can start off with Fist of Heavens. Could you not, dude? We'll let him finish. All these people want to hear about Fist of Heavens, and you're just... Yeah? What else? Okay. Fist of Heavens is a good starter because it's cheap because of the skillers, and you can transition into just about anything else once you get your gear up. I'm probably going to be playing the Cold Paladin and putting on a Dream Helm to deal with the cold immunes. I tested that on beta. It was pretty good with charge. So, real quick, again, season starters. The Sorceress is going to be back, I think, again, because, well, Darmy made Fire Sork popular again. But I still think Cold and Lightning will be cheap to start because, again, the split with Sorceress is going to go three ways. And 14.3%. I know everything's close, but if we're going for the cheapest, that'll be a good starter. I'd stay away from the Amazon. Summons-On is cheap to start, but again, maybe I'm just bored of Summons-On, but you can still GG it out and make it expensive later. Summons-On, I guess, would be an okay starter. Singbarb, great starter for farming Trav and getting things done early. Trap Assassin, Mind Blast Assassin, Fist of Heavens Paladin. Pick one of those and you're good to go. Not that there's anything wrong with Necromancer. You can still teleport around, and Summons is good to start, even though it is going to cost you a gull or more for skillers to start the season. And Druid has the expense taken off end game of needing the Infinity. But if you're looking for cheapness, I'd stay away from the top two. I'd go into Sorceress. I'd skip Amazon, Barbarian, Assassin, Paladin with those builds I just mentioned. All right? See you later.